Hi everyone, Miss Barnum here with this week's lesson, Giving Credit Where Credit is Due. This Padlet lesson is going to focus on the Library Standard AASL B.6.2, respecting the intellectual rights of others through proper citation. That sounds like a mouthful, right? Basically, what that means is that as we are conducting our own research and we're gathering all this wonderful information that we want to include into our own research, we have to make sure that we're taking careful notes so that we can mark down where did we find this information, right? We didn't develop this information all on our own. We didn't come up with this information all on our own. We need to make sure we're giving credit to those authors or those artists that provided us with that information. So as you're researching, you're going to want to take note of who the author is, who the photographer is, things like that. And of course, this lesson is going to go through it in more detail and show you what that actually looks like, how you take notes on these things. Because if I were to write a research article or come up with a project and I present all this information and I don't give credit to anybody else, basically I'm telling the world I invented this information, which is stealing. I know it sounds crazy, right? But just like you can steal a pencil out of somebody's desk or you can steal a keychain off someone's backpack, you can actually steal ideas from other people as well. It's actually quite a big problem in schools all the way through college. And so we want to make sure that we are being honest researchers and that we are giving credit to those researchers that we're borrowing, from whom that we're borrowing information, okay? So let me kind of go over the layout of this lesson for you so you know kind of how to work it. You'll notice the lessons are set up in different columns here, right? And you're going to go in order. You hit this column, then you go to this column, then you go to this column, and so forth. This is the first set of work, and this over here, the Let's Talk About It, will be your last section. The first section goes over your standards and goals, right? If you notice right here, there's a very faint kind of gray bar. When you click on that, it's going to pull everything down for you and show you all the information underneath this topic. So for standards and goals, it says here, this lesson is designed to teach 3rd through 5th grade students, that's y'all, the importance of appropriately citing sources. It's going to talk about why we do it and how we do it. I've notated the standards here for you, as well as a question that I want you to think about as you're working through this lesson, okay? So as you're working through this lesson, I want you to think about how can plagiarism, that's when you're stealing somebody else's work and not giving them credit for it, how can that hurt the author of a work and how can it affect the community as a whole? As you learn through this lesson, if you plagiarize someone's work, there are serious consequences for you because you're stealing, and stealing has consequences, right? But there's also consequences for the author or the artist that created whatever work is being stolen from, right? And so I want you to think about, how does that hurt that author? How does that hurt that photographer? How does that hurt that illustrator if we're taking their work and saying that it's our own when it's really not, right? And then I want you to think even bigger. If everyone keeps on stealing all these ideas and not giving credit to the artists and the writers who took the time to create this work, how does that affect our community as a whole? Like, what could the impact of that be? So as you're working through this whole lesson, you're going to notice that there are definitely big consequences for you, but I also want you to think outside yourself and think about how your actions, whether they're accidental or intentional, how they can actually end up hurting the author or hurting our community. When you continue scrolling down, you will also see our learning objectives. Oops, there it goes. I'm not going to read the success criteria for you. You can do that on your own. But basically, our 2 main objectives are, we will understand the importance of properly citing borrowed sources. We want to make sure that if we're borrowing information, that we're giving credit to the person who actually wrote or created that work. We will also be able to properly cite a source that we use in our work. So you do have to use the information other people create to do your own research. You can't get around that. You have to use the research other people create. That's part of being in a global community, in an academic or educational community. We share ideas. That's what humans do. We share ideas. So you are going to be borrowing information from other researchers. How do we cite those sources in our own research to keep us from getting in trouble for stealing, right? So you'll learn how to do that. Under Watch and Learn, you'll have all kinds of learning videos. You see right here it says introduction video. That's where this video that I'm creating now will be placed. You'll also have videos that discuss plagiarism, how to cite sources, and why we cite. And there's 2 different types of citations. You'll see those here. Don't worry, it's not as hard as it looks, right? And then, of course, your reward for getting through this whole thing is going to be a fun rap song. You know, I can't get through a lesson without singing or dancing. So there's a fun rap song about plagiarism for you. Then you hop over to Read and Learn. And there are several important articles here for you to read, okay? Don't skip them. Make sure you read them. Again, it's going to talk about what is plagiarism. And we got some fun facts about plagiarism. What is copyright? Ooh, that's a big word that I haven't mentioned yet, right? It's going to discuss that for you and why we need to cite our sources, okay? Then we come to the hands-on piece. This is where you get to play and have fun. This first tool here under Now You Try is a mix and mash game. So that's an online game for you to play that will help you learn about citations. Goblin Threat is another one that's going to help you learn about properly citing sources. In this one, you get to try to flush out all the goblins that have invaded the college, okay? Then we come down, it says practice with Pebble Go next. There's instructions here. Make sure you read the instructions carefully. I'm not reading them to you right now. You are 3rd through 5th grade students. You can totally handle reading this on your own. Make sure you read this and follow instructions carefully because you do have to submit something here in the comment box for me, okay? Then watch this handy dandy video. And that video right there, this one here, using Citation Maker, is going to teach you how to use this tool here. And when you get to this part, play around with it a little bit to kind of get the feel for it. And then you're going to practice using this with this activity here. So these last 3 tools go together, okay? And so practice with National Geographic Kids. You're going to click on this article, scroll through the photographs, pick your favorite photograph, and practice citing a source. So we're going to cite the source of that photograph, okay? And I left, again, detailed descriptions, sorry guys, detailed descriptions for you guys to go through, along with some notes to kind of help you with the assignment, and then an example of how I cited my source. And again, you're going to put your citation in the comments. These are required. Make sure you do both of those, okay? It gives you practice making citations. Finally, you come over here to Let's Talk About It. These are our discussion prompts. Your first discussion prompt, you'll notice, was that prompt from the beginning of the lesson. How can plagiarism hurt the author of a work, and how can it affect the community as a whole? I have detailed instructions here of what I expect to see for when you complete the assignment, so make sure you read through that completely. Then I also have a second discussion topic here where you're going to reflect on your learning. So what did you feel was the hardest part about properly citing the information you use in your research? So what do you think is going to be the hardest part about that? And what can you do to help yourself with that problem? And then I want you to respond to your peers, to your classmates, all right? Again, make sure you go through these instructions very carefully so that you know exactly what I'm expecting of you to do, okay? And so that pretty much is it. There's 4 things where you have to submit. The rest of it's pretty much on your own learning. Feel free if you want to comment your thoughts or feelings about an article that you're reading. Maybe you read something in Read and Learn and you have an idea or something pops into your head. Feel free to add a comment. You just click comment, add a comment about that. If you have an opinion or something you want to share, say, with one of these videos, or a question you want to ask me, feel free to put the questions or comments here in the comment boxes, okay? But remember, the only thing that's required is under Now You Try and Let's Talk About It. These are required pieces. All right, you guys, that's about it. I hope that you enjoyed the activities I prepared for you. I hope they help you learn. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. And yes, I do expect to see you using citations in your work from here on out. Have a fabulous day. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.